Hugh Rowland's portrayal of the ice road truckers on TV was spot on because he was honest, brave, and tough. A man who had spent his entire life fighting the elements, loneliness, and the constant threat of disaster was actually like a polar bear tearing across frozen roads as if it were nothing. He stole the show, transcending his role as an abstract. His sudden departure left his followers to wonder what happened. If a man enjoyed taking risks, what could possibly make him give up? Hugh's story did turn dark, that much is true. A lot of pain and loss, as well as a side of him that the cameras didn't catch, were brought to light. We need to find out where it came from if we want to understand it. As one of the most notoriously tough truckers in the world, Hugh Rowland is affectionately known as the Polar Bear by his friends. While filming the History Channel show Ice Road Truckers, he probably had to deal with some pretty rough roads. In the North American wilderness, for instance, one could encounter frozen lakes, blizzards, and solitary trails. Hugh's life began in 1957 in Kelowna, British Columbia, long before he became famous on reality TV. He had no problem putting in long hours. He was already operating a tractor on the family farm when he was just 6 years old. He was developing a talent for operating heavy machinery, unlike most children his age. Their early job experience prepared them to operate heavy machinery and take risks for the rest of their lives. The challenges he faced as a child shaped him into the person he is today. Overcoming hardship. People in rural British Columbia learned to persevere through the severe winters. He learned the value of hard work from that experience. Without hesitation, he seized the opportunity to transport goods across frozen roads to faraway gold and diamond mines. At the tender age of 17, a man called John was requested to convey an item to the northern region. The pay was significantly higher than what he had seen for someone his age, so he agreed without hesitation. Hugh Rowland's interest in fame and television stardom was non-existent when he was just 15 years old. As a young man in the Northwest Territories, he climbed aboard a large truck and drove it over some of the most dangerous roads in Canada, ice roads specifically, uncaring roads, slick icy surfaces that could give way at any moment, that don't care how old you are. But Rowland was furious. Despite the difficulty of the task, he was determined to complete it. His passion for driving trucks was his driving force. In 2007, Rowland's hard work is about to be seen on televisions all over the country, which is quite unexpected. That was the year when Ice Road Truckers, a show on the History Channel, was looking for drivers with stories to tell, actual drive, and nerves of steel. Each one was examined by Rowell, but he didn't believe a word when they first met. He thought his friend was attempting to con him. At what point does it become worthwhile for a television network to tag along with an Arctic truck driver? Cameras were going to be mounted in Rowland's truck so they could record his trip to Yellowknife. He was unfriendly when he invited them. Although the roads were closed for the season, they were informed that they could attempt it again the following year, provided they were better prepared. Their effort was fruitful. His plans to start work were abruptly halted when the makers arrived at his door after a year of waiting. This wasn't funny anymore, he realized at that point. No doubt about it. Despite the fact that being on a popular show might attract some, Rowland had no desire to be in the spotlight. He was completely engrossed in his work. He needed to pay the bills and haul loads. From the start, it was clear that he was unhappy with the film crew's efforts to steal from him, slow him down, or otherwise mess with his money. Watching cars drive on snow and ice didn't seem like something anyone would be interested in his opinion. He wasn't interested in seeing individuals brave the cold and icy roads alone. As soon as filming started, his claims were quickly disproven by the unfiltered combination of toughness, danger, and raw survival which captivated viewers. The show may have been outrageous, but it never quite conveyed the feeling of being out there. putting your life on the line, as Hugh claims that some people fail to understand the critical nature of the job. He used to scoff at the term cowboys because he didn't think it had anything to do with seeking thrills. It is important to be careful when working with ice. If anyone does anything wrong, they will not be allowed to go home. The first season debuted on the UK's Channel 5 at the beginning of 2008. After All Star and Foxtel acquired it around the same time, in June of that year, Network 10 became a part of it. Its autumn airing was on RTL 7 in the Netherlands. Not long after that, in January 2010, it premiered on the History Channel in Italy under the title Gli Eroi del Ghiaccio, which means Heroes of the Ice. The music video immediately became popular online. It was the History Channel's most successful original series in more than 10 years, with 4 million viewers. Some people didn't like it either. The show's profoundness shocked many, as did the fact that these drivers, who were often icy and fatigued, persisted by relying solely on their nerve and the wheel. Hugh thought it funny that the show made them look like carefree adventurers, but their job actually put their lives in danger. He grasped its function. The suspenseful drama kept drawing viewers in. People were captivated by the danger because of the perpetual suspense between life and death, in his opinion. That was the standout aspect of the program. His years of experience made him an expert ice driver. Even though the pay was adequate, it wasn't what kept him coming back year after year. Something in his blood made him feel it. It was a difficult task, I'll admit. There was an implied danger that each journey might be the last. Long stretches of time spent away from home in cold weather. The following season, though, he was ready. Although he eagerly anticipated setting out on his journey, he always felt remorse upon his return home. Hugh told the cameras what they could and could not film in his life. In hindsight, he feels conflicted about everything. Being washed was fine with him, but being the center of attention was something he hated. He would have liked to blend in with the crowd as much as possible. His preference for solitude was something he often voiced. He never really let his character come through, even when asked to be in photos or sign autographs. Hugh, who would freeze and ask, "What the hell am I even supposed to write?" the second he was given a pen, persisted in his work even after the doors were locked. After the discovery of gem and gold deposits in the remote northern desert, Hugh and other brave drivers were in great demand. Even though the work was dangerous, the high pay made it hard to say no. Over the years, Hugh grew to enjoy more than one sport. He also put money into the rigs. His star was already starting to rise when Ice Road Truckers made its television debut. Rowland had already become famous in that frozen realm for his bravery and resolve, elevating him beyond the status of mere driver. Guys kept signing up for these jobs when word got out that they could earn a year's salary in a few brutal months. One or two seasoned pros reportedly made more than $100,000 0 cents a year. Isn't that a tempting idea? There was a catch, though, to that cash. Taking a chance on each run was risky. Scary ice cracking under a loaded rig is something Hugh has mentioned before. In addition to being disturbing, the sight was terrifying. Some inexperienced fishermen would instantly give up after hearing that sound. Still, Rowland was different from the rest because of an attribute he had. When he first appeared on Ice Road Truckers, he was a huge hit with viewers for reasons beyond just his driving abilities. Another reason why he was well liked was his confidence. He was forever known as the Polar Bear. The name came from a bug screen on one of his trucks, which is actually quite cool. But as his friends and acquaintances got to know him better, the name seemed to fit him better. Hugh exuded an intense and menacing presence. Despite his temper, he admitted that he wouldn't back down from an argument. The significance of the name Polar Bear was ingrained in him, and he came to identify with it. Driving an ice road truck in the winter is a very dangerous job. Imagine huge 18-wheelers trudging through remote northern Canada on frozen lakes, lugging tens of thousands of pounds of goods despite the 60-degree temperatures. The delicate juggling act between financial gain and physical harm makes it more than just a job. Along that icy highway, you'll experience both excitement and danger. People can't help but stare at that. Hugh Rowland is the center of attention in this dangerous universe. Being an ice road veteran for many years, he knows more stories than the typical traveler. The harsh realities are laid out by Rowland on thin ice. He starts by telling us a horrible truth. No one has ever been saved after their truck has smashed through the ice. Things start off sad, but they quickly go downhill. The treacherous terrain has claimed the lives of 35 people close to Rowland. Such large figures do more than just quantify danger. They change our perception of it. But Rowland isn't just trying to shock you. When he thinks of the icy roads, he thinks of reverence. His main point was that drivers who are either too careless or go too fast are to blame for most accidents. No matter how cold it gets, he won't shut his window because he enjoys listening to the crackle of the ice. The way the road cracks and shifts, in his mind, is a message from above. Being careless could cause you to be swallowed by the ice, according to him, who informed one news outlet that he had frozen his entire body over the years. He spent 3 days stranded in his truck in snow that reached 60 below 0 degrees, and his fingers were blackened and his lips were frostbitten. Showing respect for the cold is more important than being tough if you want to survive in the cold. Minutes are all it takes for serious risks like frostbite, hypothermia, and heart failure to become they are always present. To survive in the wild, you need a bit of science as well. Rowland claims that the ice has a weight limit and that your technique is the deciding factor. A truck's pulling capacity can reach 100,000 pounds while moving, but it drops to 60,000 pounds when the vehicle comes to a full stop. This occurs because every time a truck stops, the ice below experiences a continuous downward pressure. You risk punching a hole in the floor if you pause for too long. And once a rig goes down, it's gone for good. The majority of new drivers learn their lessons the hard way. Some people can't help but freak out when they hear the ice cracking under their wheels. Rowland thinks they should be removed from the lake and sent back because they are taking too long to decide what to do. Just keep moving, he advised. No matter when it is, if you stop moving, everything will be in jeopardy. The show's focus on intense rivalry was something Rowland strongly disagreed with. To him, it was nothing more than a dull automobile race. Transferring as many loads as possible prior to the roads closing for the season was the goal of the tedious and time-consuming job. Reality TV viewers likely already know this, but much of what they see is edited to make the competition more intense and dramatic. Rowland claims that most drivers weren't following the show's winners and losers, and instead of seeking recognition or empty praise, their only concern was finishing the task at hand. Perhaps the fact that they weren't races was also for the best. It was already a challenge for the drivers to guide these enormous rigs through snowstorms and across frozen lakes. It is possible that the situation got worse after real competition was introduced. The male-dominated cast may have been noticeable to viewers of earlier seasons. This was accurate regarding the interpersonal dynamics as well as the plot. It wasn't until season 3 that Lisa Kelly made her debut. Rowland thought the producers might have cast her to attract more viewers and maybe even boost the show's ratings. Lisa wasn't actually still adjusting, but Rowland would make it seem that way from time to time. Long before she made her Hollywood debut, Lisa was a carrier for Kareli Transportation. On top of everything else, she brags to David Letterman about having driven a truck for 7 years. In the comments, Rowland thanked her for helping to get the show noticed. He claims that on camera, someone was showing her how to lift the heavy objects. In his view, she was maturing into a capable young truck driver. At times, he made it seem like she wasn't really a serious truck driver and was just there to be entertaining to watch. Lisa was able to prove them wrong in Deadliest Roads, a spin-off series in which she drove on dangerous roads in India and South America. Nerves were eased by her. Rowland had some problems to solve on the show. In instance, he did not sugarcoat the difficulties he encountered while leading the team. In my conversation with YouTuber Joshua Nanny, we discussed Rowland's business and the impact that the shooting had on it. As the cameras rolled, his faith in his crew shone through. But things changed the moment they were in the limelight. Having worked hard for some time, his drivers desired recognition and renown. Rowland had to make the tough choice to fire them all in the end. While Rowland clandestinely found replacement drivers and got the show back on the road, the former drivers remained in the spotlight. He claims that the cameras eventually repositioned themselves. Unless they were filming an important scene, he barely noticed them. He continued to be completely preoccupied with his work. Throughout the 8 seasons of the show, Rowland was a mainstay and guest star in a number of spin-offs. Having said that, he stopped making guest appearances on the show in 2014. Differences in creativity or tardiness weren't to blame. Following a devastating automobile accident that ruined his life, he avoided the ice. Rowland was never in the driver's seat, not even when the accident was taking place. Along for the ride was Will Morrison, one of the show's directors. Morrison reportedly lost control of his car while driving in Canada and crashed into a group of trees. Rowland accused Morrison of reckless driving and proceeded to sue him. However, the accident left Rowland with serious injuries to his lower body, going beyond mere bruises. He claimed that driving trucks for a living had been his lifelong ambition, but that his injuries had made that goal impossible. Although the employees' injuries led to the termination of their employment, the case remained open. According to Rowland, the accident had a significant effect on his personal life, especially his marriage. He bemoaned the fact that he was unable to spend quality time with his wife because of the physical and mental effects on their marriage. In an interview with TMZ, Rowland reportedly said that the accident affected his personal life and his business. Rowland has oddly never been a huge fan of ice road truckers, despite his involvement with the show. Does he still feel that way about it? An interview Rowland did not long ago on YouTube revealed that he had only seen a small number of episodes, all of which were from the early promotional events of the show. On the other hand, his loved ones were die-hard fans who constantly wanted to know his favorite parts of the show. However, Rowland insisted he didn't like seeing himself on TV because he was already going through it and didn't want to see it played out again. Rowland has moved his attention away from the media since departing the show. In addition to spending more time with his family, he is giving his all to his construction business. Despite everything that has happened to him, he has still managed to make a profit. At 64 years old, he supposedly has a net worth of about $2 million, 0 cents. This puts him ahead of the rest of the ice road trucker cast financially. The road may have altered, but Rowland is adamant about forging his own path.